This video is going to show you a Solo Master Nightfall getting Platinum rank on the Glassway on a Warlock. For those who just want to see that, then skip the timestamps. Other than that, I can show you the modifiers, the setup I used, etc. So there's a couple of new modifiers, so I'll just cover them. So for the Master Nightfall, we have Arach-No. When defeated, fallen battle spawn a Webb mine at their feet. Champions a barrier and overload. Equipment locked. Match game, the usual. This week it's Famine. All ammo drops are reduced. Champions mob. The shielded foes are Arc, Solar and Void, which isn't correct. It's only Arc and Solar, technically. Weight of weakness. This is a new modifier, so I'll just read what it states. Your foe's grenades and abilities apply the weakening effect, which reduces speed and increases damage taken. When Guardians apply the suppression effect, it lasts 50% longer. That's a very interesting mod, but that's a topic for another day, but it is very interesting. Then I got Acute Void Burn, plus 25% Void Burn for you, and plus 50% Void Burn for the enemy. We need to play into this modifier, it's very important. So the setup that I used on the Warlock, I used the same setup pretty much 90% of the time with my Fragments and my Aspect. I won't go into too much detail, but right now I'm using Healing Rift, Vortex Grenade, Aspects are Chaos Accelerant, Feed the Void, Fragments are Echo of Undermining, Remnants, Expulsion. Then we pair that with the exotic Gauntlets Contraverse Hold for Void Grenades, improved charging for Void Grenades. So we get lots of Vortex Grenades. As I stated, it's Barrier and Overload, so we're using double primary, so Barrier, Scout, Overload, SMG. We're using Funnel Web, which is obviously an amazing Void SMG, and Void burns on, so we're going to use a Void primary. Plus, we're going to use Dead Man's Tail. I'm going to show off and show you how good that is. I've got 4 times the charm on my roll. You could get Vorpal. Just depends on what roll you've got, but any roll that you have will do. But this is the best roll you can get 4 times the charm. And then we've got a rocket launcher, Royal Entry, Field Prep, Clown Cartridge. If you want to use Threaded Needle, I would recommend that you can do probably either go Rocket or Linear because it's Void Burn. So those are your 2 best bets in my opinion for this, in terms of your heavy loadouts. So for armor mods, we're using our Void Elemental Well build. So we've got Well of Tenacity, which gives us resistance when we pick up a Void Well. We have Font of Wisdom. When we pick up a Void Well, we get increased intellect. We have Volatile Flow. When we pick up a Void Well, we get the volatile rounds to our Void weapons. And then Elemental Ordnance, we can create Void Wells via our grenade. Obviously, we're going to spam a lot of grenades. We also have Loosen Finisher on and Overload Grenades. Overload Grenades will assist with Overload Champions. Very important to put it on. Even though you've got the SMG, still put on 2 ways to stun Overloads, not just 1. Loosen Finisher will generate heavy ammo on any finisher on a champion. This is a very powerful mod. You use it. Always be using it for Nightfalls. Especially Famine's on. You need the ammo drops. Rocket Launcher Scavenger. Double Void Resist, because Void is 50% for the enemy, and I've got a Solar and Arc on to double down with that because I've got the chest plate from Grasp of Avarice, the master one, which can have an extra seasonal mod. I don't think you need this, it's just I've got something on, right? But double Void Resist is what you actually do want to put on. Overload SMG, Anti-Barrier Scout, of course, Rocket Launcher, Ammo Finder, a high discipline stat is very important for this. That was a setup that I'm using. As we start the run, we'll summon our Sparrow just to get through the starting section a little quicker. Obviously, there's no point to be killing any of these adds. You'll see at the bottom right hand side it says 0 times multiplier, so you're not going to be benefited by killing any of these adds for score. This video is going to cover Platinum rank and 100k, which it is easy to get the 100k on Master because of the 2 times score, which now has popped up. So we've done this Sparrow there to speed up towards the ad, so we can spawn kill them all with a grenade. The quicker you get here, the better it is. That way you can spawn kill and have Devour procced, because we've got a Void kill. We'll pick up this Void Well. There's 1 more Marauder. Now I'm going to charge grenade and wait for the Overload to first teleport. Wait for a teleport, then do your nade. Don't have it where the Overload hasn't teleported for a while, then throw your nade, because you're more likely going to miss it, right? Because these Overloads, if you don't aggro them, they'll just keep teleporting every 2 seconds. So right after a teleport, that's when you do your nade. Now, because of how the rework with Vortex Grenades, it sucks enemies in. It also sucks champions in, which means you can get an easy stun on them. So, I mean, I may stun with my SMG, I may stun with my Void Grenade, but that's the beauty of this, because I've got 2 ways of stunning overlords. Right, so if you want to do this bit really efficient, then just watch exactly what I do. So I'm going to charge a Void Grenade and fire it over to the left-hand side. That will clear out a couple of the ads, and it'll stun the overlord. I'm going to double rocket that overlord, because obviously I've got Clown Cartridge on this. Clown Cartridge Field Prep, which is... it's a god roll rocket. It's a play style that's obviously very good to do, because you can just double rocket stuff, which is so valuable. Then we'll charge another grenade and spawn kill the barrier. The quicker you spawn kill the barrier, the better. I've got Devour going, so I'll clear out the rest of the ads. But by charging my Void Grenade as the barrier comes down, makes it easier. But notice the position, and I didn't push up to spawn the barrier in. I took the overload separate from the barrier. See, if I'd pushed up a little bit while the overload was still alive, the barrier would then shield the overload, which is what you don't want. It's the same with this section. If you push up so far, you spawn in the barrier. Don't do it. You are not to push up until you clear this fallen boss. You need to kill the mini boss, and you need to kill the overload and 2 or 3 snipers. You do all that, and you don't push up past the main pillar in the room, like in the center of the room. See if that rock sculpture, whatever it is, where the boss is standing now. Don't push up any further than that, unless you will spawn a barrier, and then that means the barrier is going to shield all the enemies. It's going to be very difficult. We'll overload the champion, do a super for the champion, just to save on a bit of ammo a little bit. It's worth using your Nova on that overload, because I don't, like I said before, I don't want to be pushing up at all. I want to make sure the mini boss and the overload's taken out. So I'd rather use my super on the champ right there, just to spawn kill him. Now we're going to use a bit of Dead Man's Tale, show that off with the 4th times the charm. It's a very good roll. It is the best roll you can get on it. Better than Vorpal. Actually, maybe not better than Vorpal, because Vorpal got buffed. The only thing is, though, this weapon with 4 times the charm can just keep, reloading itself. So actually, I'm not 100% if Vorpal's better or not. The thing is, you're going to be constantly reloading with the Vorpal roll. So I don't know. Void Grenade at the stairs, that clears out a lot of ads, and the barrier will walk into that. Right, we'll get a stun, then we use a rocket, and then we can clear out the rest of the ads. We've got Devour, so we can push with the SMG. I'm going to waste a rocket there. You're going to think, why? Well, the reason why is so that I've got double rocket for the next phase. I have plenty of ways to get ammo. Obviously, I've got rocket ammo finder on. Famine's on, but we can negate Famine by using double primary heavy, because that gives an increased chance at heavy, and we have losing finisher on. So we can afford to waste a rocket too. So I just shot a rocket just to make sure I got 2, because my goal was to stun the overload and double rocket him, but he didn't get stunned, which was unfortunate. But doing a nade there is really good, because he clears out a couple of the shanks and ads. Because your goal right now is mainly just clearing out these shanks and things. So the overload will push you if you stand around at this location. Eventually he's going to push near that small rock in front of us. He won't push until all the shanks are taken out. That's something I've noticed. The longer you wait here, the more chance. Like, once he sees you and he aggroes on you, he'll go close to that rock. We'll get a stun with the grenade. Then we'll double rocket him. That's why I wanted double rocket, just for that bit. Just to make that overload a little bit easier. Once the overload's taken out, this room's really easy. The Vandals will be at the back, some of them will be hiding. Take them all out. Now we could super the mini boss. I could have done that. I could have, I think I ended up using it on the barrier or something. But we'll just show off Dead Man's Tale. The Glassway is a lot. I know this is Master and it's not Grandmaster. Obviously, there's a big difference between doing a solo Grandmaster and a solo Master at power, because I am at power 1980, so that's going to make it easier, of course. But there seems to be a couple of changes just with how the ads are. They don't seem to be as aggressive. The Rivens, or whatever you call them, they're a little bit more tame than what they used to be. I don't know if they've made changes. It seems that way. We'll spawn kill a bunch of the ads on our left with a grenade. Then we'll come back to this rock behind on the left. We'll spawn kill a couple of the other ads before the barrier shields everything, and then we can just take out the barrier. We'll charge a nade first to get the debuff going. We're going to generate some heavy, so I don't end up using my super. You see, I've noticed I'm on 2, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the champ finishable. Just watch the mines. They can kill you if enough mines hit you. They can, and definitely on Grandmaster, 2 mines can kill you actually. So be careful of them. So we've got a finish kill. We've got a break. So we're 6. We're a lot more healthier now on our ammo. That's the beauty of using rockets when your Famine's on is really good, because let's face it, you're going to get 2 rockets minimum per brick, right? You won't be getting 1 if you run the rocket scavenger. So you're already getting 2 rockets, which is so useful. That's a champ. That's nearly 2 champs killed, right, if you use 1 rocket per champ. So the ammo economy for the rocket's really good in this, which why I think it's probably better than using a linear, even though linear has a higher total damage. It's not total damage you need in this, because that's why I'm using a high damage weapon like Dead Man's Tale. So that does a lot of the damage for me on bosses and things like that. Whereas the rockets for bursting down champs, because you need to burst down the champs when you're at the boss. Okay, it's something that you sort of you need to be on top of. And the Rivens and things, because I know it's only master, but you still need to, because of void, acute void burns plus 50%, which is a new modifier. The Rivens and stuff, they all do void. The overlords do void, so they need to be killed as quickly as possible. Your concern isn't damage. Your concern is alive and burst. Well, it is damage, but it's burst damage on champs. It's not saving heavy for the boss. Definitely not. Don't think into that mindset. I'll use a grenade and an overbomb on this champ here. And then the snipers will spawn over the other side. Don't jump over the other side until you can take out these snipers. There's like 3 or 4, which, you know, can be deadly. So I'll take those out. Actually, they're not snipers. Could have swore some of them were. There is 2 snipers over the other side, though. They don't spawn in until you jump over there. So make sure you've got a void grenade ready. This is an easy way of doing it. Charge your void grenade. Throw it in middle. This is pretty consistent. It drags all the ads into it and the overload. He stuns. We can get a finisher kill to make sure that we're leaving this encounter with max heavy. You always want to try and leave each encounter with as much heavy as possible. Unless you know there's a bunch of champs coming up that you can farm heavy off. But I'm max on heavy, and I'm good for the next section. In this section, there's 1 overload, 1 barrier, a bunch of snipers and stuff like that. So for this plate mechanic, obviously on Grandmaster you wouldn't do it like this, but you can just stand in middle. As long as you're fairly quick at taking out all the ads, not too bad. So the spawns go left, right, left, right. Now this is what's interesting, and I've always found this interesting. The spawns are different if you play this solo or a team. So when you're in a team, you'll notice you get heavy shanks. When you're solo, the game actually registers that you're solo, so you only get shanks, which is very interesting to me. It's like someone somewhere's thought it would actually be too difficult to have. It wouldn't be too difficult. You still get away with it doing with heavy shanks. But I find that interesting, and I'm sort of confused why they don't do that more often with certain things. Like in Nightfalls and stuff, because generally the spawns are the same, whether it's team or solo. You know, there isn't less champs. There's the same amount of champs and stuff. However, bosses are different, so they've attuned HP for bosses differently now. So you'll notice when you're solo, the boss is nowhere near as tanky. Now, I don't know how that's going to look like on Grandmaster. They've done a huge change with that. Team bosses are now way more tanky, which is why when you've done the Legend campaign for Savathun, the final mission, the ritual, it's easier to solo it than it is in a team, because the team HP of the boss is a lot higher than the solo version, even though they're both Legend. Right, so what they're trying to do, it's obvious. They're trying to get more people to basically play solo. If you want to play solo, you can. There's more and more people have the option to do that, and you can have a lot of success with it. That's what they're trying to do. My only fear with that is they make solo play too easy. That's my only fear, that they go too far with it and then everybody's soloing, and that's not what you want. You want a lot of people to solo, but not every single person, because then it doesn't become interesting. Then it's actually, in fact, harder to play in a team. Then I'll just go do team play all the time. So it's kind of like, you always want the solo aspect to be harder than the team play, but with this change, it has made solo play the easiest it's ever been, especially with Void 3.0. With the builds you can do. Solo play, it's never been a better time to start solo and stuff like than now, like dungeons and Nightfalls, etc. Even GMs. So I'm standing here because I'm waiting for the snipers, right? We use the super on the heavy shank because it's a solar shield. We don't have solar, and I don't have time to be dealing with that solar shield, and we don't need our super for anything on this section. So we use a super on the heavy shank. Obviously, that's the best protocol with it. We've got a heavy. You can notice the amount of heavy I'm getting. Now the reason for that is a couple of reasons. Like I said earlier, double primary heavy gives you an increased chance of heavy. Also, double special heavy does the same. That's why you see people run double special in Gambit, because you get more heavy as well. But obviously that's different now because Gambit's being reworked as heavy anyways. But I'm just saying, in general. Not only that, my rocket launcher has field prep on it with rocket ammo finder on the helmet. They stack together, so it just makes it more consistent to have that. I think I only had one rocket finder on. If you have two, you even get more ammo. So a field prep rocket in GMs, solo GMs or solo Nightfalls is the way to go. Generally it's not. It's not lasting impression. It's not vorpal weapon. It's none of that stuff. It's ammo. Like, yeah, you can have 7 rockets of a lasting impression, but that ain't going to help you in a Grandmaster. But a field prep rocket, especially with Clown Cartridge, being able to double rocket a champ and have more ammo per brick is far better than any lasting impression rocket you can think of. Because, as I said, this is solo. This isn't team play. Team play is a different thing. When you're doing a raid day one, that's a different thing. This is a different category. You need to understand that team play is different to solo play. Things are different better in solo than team, and some stuff in teams better than solo. It just depends, doesn't it? So we got to finish a kill on that champ. We have max heavy notice. That's because we're going to farm some heavy for later. I recommend you finish as many champs as you can, as you need plenty of heavy. So the portals, the ads spawn from the portals and the overloads. So what I'm going to do is do a grenade, a hail and rift, double rocket one of the overloads. So this is how it works. There's 3 main phases, but each main phase is split up into 2 sub phases. Each sub phase is dictated by the Hydra's HP. So in other words, you don't touch the Hydra. The Hydra is meant to be avoided. You can easily avoid the Hydra, okay? So what your goal is to take out the ads and the champion. There's 2 champions per phase, so that's 2 champions per sub phase, 4 champions per phase, main phase. So for every third of HP of the Hydra, it's 2 champions. 4 champions. So it's 4, so it's 12. I believe it's 12. I think I'm right. So it goes like 4. It might be. I think that's right. I might be wrong, to be honest. But yeah, So it is 2 champions per phase. I just can't mind the split of it right at this minute. But you'll see the spawns as it comes. So we've cleared out all the ads. Once you've done that, we're on left side, which is a good place to stand in general. But there is a good place to stand on right. Once you get the next ad phase, you can try and spawn kill some of the ads. The only problem is the boss was there. Obviously the boss is going to be up and alive and shooting at you and stuff. You can rotate between left and right, and there is a really good place to stand on right hand side. Just know that you can't always use right hand side with the strat I'm going to be doing in a minute, or I will at some point. You can't do it for Grandmaster, it's too dangerous because of splash damage and stuff. On Grandmaster you're going to go left. You're going to fight from left, probably. This strat up here, so you can climb up on this ledge, right? Charge a nade, and we can just do damage to the Hydra. Obviously, because it's anti-barrier scout, the scout penetrates the Hydra's shield, right? I know that might be something obvious to some, but not to everybody. This also works for the boss, because the boss has a rotating shield. You can just keep shooting through his shield. Right, we'll get a stun here. We didn't quite have our nade right in at the right moment, so I'll reset because I wasn't ready for the champ. We'll drop back down. We'll get another stun. We'll use a rocket. We'll get him finishable. You can actually just kill him with the SMG because of Void Burn. You can basically just kill him with Funnel Web. Sit in a healing rift. Keep stunning them with the grenade and your Overload SMG. You can basically just melt them. So they have improved Overload SMG and Auto Rifle. They actually work to a good degree now. Okay, I can confidently tell you. Like, so if you have like a Vorpal Auto Rifle, it's going to do good work on champs. You can continually overload them because Vorpal is a 20% damage bonus. So if you imagine that on an Auto Rifle like Braytech Werewolf, something like that, whatever you've got, even the Crate Stasis Auto Rifle with Vorpal, you can continually overload these champs. Whether you can do that on Grandmaster remains to be seen. So we're doing damage here just at the stairs. The reason for that is because the boss is easy crit. You can get easy precision damage from here. He does do a bit of splash damage to you every now and then, but you just need to sort of keep an eye on your HP. Like right there, I was getting weak, so we back up. You basically just have to do a third of his HP. Then the boss will then retreat and then come back out with the Hydra. But what your goal right now is to do some damage on these Rivens. You get a Riven right and left. So if you are on this side, try and spawn kill the right side one because you're close to the portal. If you were doing damage on left, then spawn kill the Riven on left. But whatever you're doing, make sure you're using rockets and grenades on those. Don't be using just primaries, because they do too much damage. I mean, they are tamer on Master, as I said, but that doesn't mean you still need to be bursting them down. It's very important. That's a critical phase where you need to burst down the Rivens. It's very important. If it's, you know, a lot of, if you're not sure where the second remaining Riven is, because it's 2 Rivens per sub phase, so on this second phase, if you like, there's 4, but you only get 2 if you don't damage the Hydra. As I said, it's critical you don't melt the Hydra down. That's the downfall of a lot of teams, and a lot. If you're trying to solo it, you'll melt down the Hydra because it's easy to do that, and then you end up getting 4 Rivens. It's just too much to handle. We use a super here because the barrier pushed me. I don't know why the barrier pushed in here. I've never seen that. So there's a couple of changes since Glassway was still up. Once it was last up, the barriers, they seem to sort of move differently. They sort of push you a bit more. They come near the exits of each safe haven a bit more. The barriers seem a lot easier than what they used to be. I don't know if it's just because of this season with the debuffs and stuff, but it definitely feels a lot easier than when it used to be Glassway. Even the Master difficulty, I remember doing the Master solo when it first came out, and that was like, most runs were like 40 minutes. But obviously it was a different complete season to this. There was no debuffs and stuff. so to speak. It was a different season entirely, but like I said, it was a much longer run then. Now on Glassway Master, you're doing these in 30 minutes, no problem. And I'm not going too fast in this neither. So obviously, you know, I could have done a faster run, but I don't care about doing a faster run, so to speak. Just showing people how to easily do the Glassway solo. Like, as long as you actually think about what you're doing, manage your ads, which can be done with this class, of course, then it's not too bad. So I was doing damage to the Hydra here so that I could try to get some damage on the Rivens, because the longer that you leave this phase with Rivens up, the more dangerous it gets. Because if you stay in your safe haven on left and right, whichever side you picked, you don't know where they are. You've got a radar. Make sure you're using your radar in this, because you know exactly where everything is, but you don't know what's around that corner, and it could be a Riven that does a lot of damage to you. So, you know, it just depends on where they push. They sometimes push through the center tunnel, the center corridor, if you stand here. But sometimes they can loop around and flank you and stuff. So it just depends. The boss is, if you notice on this phase, there's no boss, which is handy. So we can take these barriers, no problem. So I'll charge a grenade, do a healing rift around the corner, just show you the damage with Dead Man's Tail, which is doing insane. As I said, with the 4 times the charm, it's doing really good. You can't farm this weapon anymore, but you can buy it from Zer each week, I believe. I don't know what he's been selling with Dead Man's Tail. I haven't kept an eye on it. But whenever he sells the 4 times the charm roll or Vorpal, you buy that, because it does enhance the weapon. Don't be using something else, something PvP related. You need a PvE style perk on this. So this barrier was getting stunned all the way back. I was wanting to get a finisher kill, because it is a long boss fight, and there is a lot of champs, and there is a lot of times when you want a lot of rockets. So yeah, I could just melt this barrier down. I have the ammo to do it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be conservative, get a finisher kill, and full back on heavy, and 2 or 3 bricks on the floor. I'm going to use some heavy here just to speed this a little bit up. We'll get our double rocket back loaded. Then we'll get ready into position again for spawn killing ads. You don't just sit back and let the ads hit you. You've got to sort of push a little bit. You've got that 5 to 10 seconds to do it as well, because the boss spawns in at the back of the map. Now we spawn kill one of the overlords there, and a couple of fanatics, stuff like that. So we're half the way there already with the ads. We're just going to be waiting on one more overload, a couple more ads. The Hydra will push, obviously. To a certain extent, the Hydra will de-aggro you after so long. The Hydra will actually stop shooting you, and he'll just look for you. He doesn't exactly know where, the Hydra won't know exactly where you are. So that's something to know. Fanatic here. The Hydra isn't up on this phase, actually, interestingly enough. Just the boss. So we'll go to our damage section, which is at the stairs on right side. The only downside to doing damage from right side stairs is that when the boss becomes immune, you're not close to a portal to do a lot of damage. I mean, you kind of are, but you kind of aren't. It's just a case of, as soon as that boss goes immune, you need to sprint over to one of the portals. Obviously, if you're on right, you need to just go right. It's as simple as that. Or, if you know the exact value where you need to get the boss's HP bar, you can be already over there. Yeah, and do it like that. But, as I said, you would need to know the exact value and stuff. So, ads are spawning. We haven't spawned killed any, that's fine. I believe this is 2 overloads. 2 overloads, bunch of fanatics and stuff. So I'm showcasing both sides, I guess. On right side, the downside is there's Vex pools everywhere, and they do tick damage to you. So there's that. And also, champs de-aggro on this section, especially when you jump up here. They don't want to push. They'll push you for a second and then retreat. They'll only push if you're on the floor. That's just how they're working, and they'll sort of go close to the boss rather than pushing you, which isn't ideal. But there is a good spot that you can do. Like I would take a bunch of the ads first if you can before the overloads on this section. On the stairs on this side, there is a good position, but you're gonna need a healing rift, I would say, and be required to either super or use some rockets. I wouldn't just use the SMG for this, because there's going to be two pushing. I'll double rocket the first one. We'll aggro. By aggroing, we just shoot at the champ a little bit. We'll get the next stun. We're a bit close to him, but we have double rocket. If you don't debuff the champ and you do two rockets, you'll get him about finishable, which isn't a bad thing. So sometimes you don't always need to use the nade, because that way you use your two rockets, you get your two rockets back, because you finish them to get your heavy. That's why it's so good to lose some finisher. Now we're back to damage. When you're going to do damage to the boss, wait for the shield to for there to be a gap to do your nade, because the nade will just hit the shield and it may not apply the debuff. So just make sure you time it, but you don't need to time it for Dead Man's Tail. As I said, you can just crit that boss over and over. There was one, I knew there was something still alive, but what I'm trying to do here is explain what I said earlier. I'm trying to do damage on one of the sides, which is right. So I made the boss immune on right side, like right on the portal, so that way I can actually charge my nade and be ready for a side of the ads. The boss will see you, just be careful. We'll charge our nade, we'll do a super. It's worth doing. I was trying to rocket the other Riven, but I was getting damaged, so I moved out the way. I haven't talked too much about the boss, but you can control the boss just like the mini Hydra. You can lure him over a certain section and he will be aggroed on that certain section, pardon me, for a certain amount of time. That then gives you time to deal with barriers or any Rivens, stuff like that. So I aggro the boss on right. He's on right, but I'm on left. The boss will still be at right. Actually, he's come to middle now. But it gives you that time, so you may need to rotate between right and left, or the exit on left between middle and, you know, there's 3 exits each section. So we cleared out the 2 Rivens. As I said, there's going to be another 2, because when we do damage to the Hydra, we'll then get another phase. This phase is going to give you barriers. It's not going to be overloads. You never see overloads and Rivens together, which is actually a good thing. I don't think so, at least. I think when the Rivens spawn, it's barriers. See how the Hydra, he's aggroed on me, but he's just staying over that side. He's just staying there. He's not pushing me, so to speak. He's just staying there. So you can control that Hydra. And now what we want to do is look for an opportunity. So see, the boss is in middle. So what I need to do, because I want to damage a champ in middle, is I'm going to lure him all the way to the left. That's so easy to do. Just let the boss see you. He will then come over this side. He's going left. I can then go all the way to middle to start dealing with these champions. I'm just looking at my radar. I'm seeing where they are. The champions, sometimes they can be sort of out of position and, you know, you're sort of waiting. I know where they are. They're up top somewhere, but they're not showing themselves. Notice the boss is still over left. You can see that on the radar. So we have a barrier in middle. I know the boss is going to come. He's coming now, so we'll break the shield and then get a rocket. That's just a prime example of showing you why rockets. Like if I was sitting there with a linear, aiming down sights, you know, trying to kill them, that the boss might kill me before then, before I do my 1 or 2 shots. So just doing a rocket and running away sometimes It's just the burst damage of it, which is what helps you out. Once we took out the barriers, which we have, we'll then finish off the Hydra. The Hydra's pretty much weak. Just use Dead Man's Tail. The boss, the Hydra doesn't do much damage to you either, but he just does arc, so that's fine. Also, once the Hydra is killed, you can see Vex reinforcements inbound. This is again 2 Hydras and barriers. Now here's the thing about that, if you didn't take out the barriers and you cleared out the Hydra, you'd have 4 barriers outside, which can be a pain when you're trying to clear out 4 barriers and the boss just keeps coming to where you are. So the more clear out the barriers as you get them per phase. Don't let barriers stack up, because that's when you're going to have difficulty trying to clear out all these barriers. Use Oppressive Darkness first. You can actually just clear out these barriers with no anti-barrier. If you're at power, you can just nade them, double rocket them, and they die. So notice the boss isn't aggro on him, on me, 'cause he's in middle, I think. So he has actually come to the central lane. That's fine. That's where we use the rockets. That's why we done a lot of finishes earlier, because you need a lot of rockets for this. You need a lot of heavy. Not particularly for the boss, just mainly for bursting down the champs while that boss pushes. This champ is de-aggroed. He will re-aggro though, just need to stay central. Usually the boss would be more aggroed, like back in the day when Glassway came out, the boss was far more aggressive than what he is now. I think they seem to have dumbed him down a little bit. That's what it looks like. We'll just double rocket this champ to be done with it. There's some rockets in middle. That's the last barrier killed. That'll then reward us platinum rank. All we need to do is clear the boss. Bunch of heavy on the floor. I'll go to my DPS place. And we'll use our Nova. I could have used the Nova on the champ, but I just ended up using it on the boss. But that was the Solo Master Nightfall getting platinum rank on a Warlock for the Glassway. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.
That's the last of them.